the last time we met, and our fight to save South Manchester Law Centre continues. We have to put in as much effort and more concerted effort than we have already, although I think we have to be pleased that we've already done a number of things. We've lobbied Manchester City Council, we've held this public meeting to which we had at least 200 people the last time. There are a number of other things that are in the pipeline that we'll tell you more about tonight, including legal action that we're taking. And there'll be the opportunity for you to hear contributions from speakers who are here on the panel, but also contributions from people in the audience, and the opportunity to ask questions. And what I particularly like is the ideas about what we can do next, and the questions about what each and every one of us is going to do to make sure that South Manchester Law Centre stays open.
I very much welcome this meeting, and I very much welcome the very large attendance here this evening. People don't come out to meetings just for the sake of it. People come out when they feel strongly about something, and the danger to South Manchester Law Centre is an issue which is a very great concern to a great many people. It's in the heart of my constituency. It's just across the road, a minute's walk away from here, in the Longsight ward, and we have two of the Longsight councillors here this evening, Abid Chauhan and Lutful Ron. The Law Centre regularly refers many cases to me, and I do my best to follow them up. They're cases which sometimes have come to me anyhow, but some of them are cases which I would not know about if it wasn't for the Law Centre. And they do their utmost. Sometimes they need the aid of the Member of Parliament, and of course I do what I can in those circumstances. Government will consult on major reforms to the legal aid system to deliver access to justice at a lower cost to the taxpayer. This will involve taking tough choices about the types of case that should receive public funding and focusing support on those who need it most. The reforms will also increase competition in the market and reform remuneration for providers to ensure the legal aid system is effective and affordable. That is what is happening to South Manchester Law Centre. This is not an accident. This is a deliberate decision by the government to cut access to legal aid by people who cannot afford to have any other kind of recourse to solicitors, or, if it's needed, to barristers. This is a deliberate decision by the government in which they say, take tough choices. Well, it's not tough for them. It's easy for them. If Kenneth Clark needs a solicitor, he can go and pay for one. He can pay for one out of the huge amount of money he accumulated before he came back into the government, when he was paid by the British Tobacco Federation large amounts of money. So he wouldn't have a tough choice if he needed legal advice. The people who go to the Law Centre and the people who seek legal aid, and I have many cases and many letters, including some even today. The people who go to South Manchester Law Centre are in desperate need of legal aid in many ways, and it's listed in the leaflet that we've got and the other material that has been. The Law Centre has made representations that the new contracts, that's for legal assistance, will leave gaps in some services, and meetings have been held between the Law Centre staff and board members and the City Council officers to consider this. Discussions are at an early stage, and clarification has been sought in relation to the detail of advice work undertaken to determine if this is outside both the new CLAS, the Service Delivery Model, and funding administered by the Legal Services Commission. Because the Legal Services Commission is the government organisation which funds legal aid, whether the Law Centre or people who seek to have recourse to solicitors. And the Legal Services Commission is suffering the cuts, all of which are listed here in this document. And that is at the heart of what we are trying to deal with. And this is the key point. The Leader of the Council says, the Council is required to comply with procurement legislation, which, if the evidence provided by the Law Centre is conclusive, may result in some form of interim support prior to a formal procurement process. Once the evidence provided by the Law Centre has been analysed, the organisation of providers of similar services will be fully informed. So let's be clear about this. It's a situation which rightly arouses very deep concern. But what the Leader of the Council has said to me in this letter today is that the door has not yet been closed, that there are still possibilities. And those of us who are active on these matters will be putting pressure on the Council, because it's our Council and they are answerable to us. But please be clear, in the end it isn't the decision of the Council. The Council is conforming to a policy which has been laid down by the government. And therefore, I and my colleagues, such as my good friend Tony Lloyd, who can't be here this evening, but is working very hard on this, but I and others have been working very hard in relation to the government and will go on working hard. And if I need, but I will take the advice of the Law Centre, because after all, this is about them, though it really isn't about them. It's about the service they provide to people who need it. But if we get to the point where they feel that they need me to launch a debate in the House of Commons about this, I will do so. Don't give up. We will go on fighting. As I say to my constituents when they come to my surgeries, I never make a promise that I will obtain a successful result, because it's not honest to promise something you don't know whether you can achieve. But what I do promise, and I promise it with my colleagues who are here this evening, and I promise it with my colleagues who are the Labour MPs here in Manchester, we will fight for the South Manchester. So thank you very much for coming. This isn't the end of the story, it's an ongoing story, and we're going to fight for a better ending.